Hey, how's it going? Mr. Bill here, and in this tutorial I'll be talking about Arpeggiator. So this is Arpeggiator just here. As you can see, it says Arpeggiator, and this is a MIDI effect, so it doesn't actually affect the output of the audio. Well, it does affect the output of the audio, but it doesn't actually affect the audio. It affects the MIDI going into the audio. So if we can picture our MIDI clip being, say, here, and we draw a note into it, we then have this piece of information which is telling operator, which is the device on this channel, to play a D sharp 3. Let's just make it C3. So we're telling it to play a C3 for however many bars this is. I think it's 4 bars. Yep, so we're telling it to play a C for 4 bars. So if we just turn Arpeggiator off and we press the space bar, it's going to go for 4 bars and play us a C3. However, if we turn Arpeggiator on and we press play, you can see it's starting to affect that message. So it's telling it to play a C3 every quarter note or something. So it's telling it to play it however many times per bar, so 8 times per bar. Because this rate is set to 1/8 notes, if we turn that to quarter notes, it plays it 4 times per bar, etc. So Arpeggiator takes individual MIDI notes from a chord or a single note, and it plays them in a rhythmical pattern or arpeggiates them, and the sequence and speed of this pattern can be changed via this arpeggiator. So we have style. This is the first thing that we see up in the top left hand corner, and this changes the way that the notes are played in a sequence. So all of these are just kind of different ways of playing. So we have up, which if we turn steps up, we'll just kind of arpeggiate the notes up, like so. If we have up and down, we get something like that. Sorry, up and down. So it'll go up and then come back down. Something like that. We have down and up or converge, and we have like pinky up. So we get lots of basic kind of different patterns happening. So these are all kind of similar in the sense that they just create a different sequence of notes. And then we have a couple of strange ones down the bottom here. We have chord trigger, and this repeats incoming notes as a chord. So if we have multiple notes, so let's just make a C minor. So that plays them as a chord, whereas if we have that as up and down, that plays single notes, whereas chord plays them as a chord. We then have one underneath that called random, and that just creates random patterns from all the incoming notes. However, it basically just creates random patterns. So that's just randomly creating patterns for us. And then we have random other, and this creates random patterns as well from the incoming notes. However, it doesn't use the same note again until all the other notes have been used. So if this thing plays a C, it's not going to play a C again until it plays the E flat and the G. So if we keep listening to that, it'll just keep creating random patterns. And then we have random once. And what this does is it creates a random pattern out of the notes, and then it keeps repeating that pattern until we feed it more notes. Then underneath that we have groove, and this applies a swing. So if I just make a 16th here. So random once, you can see it's just created that one random pattern, and then it's continued to repeat that pattern. Then we have groove, and this applies a swing. So if we go swing 8, swing 16, we can get some weird patterns happening. Or we can just go straight. And then we have this hold button next to it, and this causes any new notes that are triggered to stay on. So if we play this, so what I've done there is just played that and then triggered a new note with my computer keyboard, and then clicked hold, and that's just left the note on. So if we just play in a part that has no MIDI clip at all, and we just click hold and then trigger a few notes. So it's holding the notes until I play a new note, and then it just holds the new note and gets rid of the old ones. So after that we have rate, which is just under hold, and as I was explaining before, rate basically plays the notes in these patterns at a speed that we define with this parameter, and you can sync it to musical values, or you can have it in hertz by clicking on sync or fine. So if we have it on fine, we get something like this. And if we have it on sync, it syncs to a musical value which is in time with the click. Just turn the click down. Like so. Then we have gate, and gate determines the length of the notes played. So if we have this really short, all the notes will be short. And the more we turn that up, the longer the notes get. And if we turn this over 100%, they start to overlap. Like so. Then we have offset, and offset shifts the sequence of the notes in the pattern by a number of places selected with the control. So if we set this to 1, it makes the second note of the pattern play first and the first note of the pattern play last, and keeps shifting it around in that sort of circular fashion. So if we have this, just set it to up, and we'll just set it to 16ths. So it starts on the C. However, if we offset this by 1, offset it by 2, you can see it starts from the next place in the sequence. Every time we shift it by 1 more, you can also shift it by negative values. So the next control that we'll look at is repeats, and this allows the pattern to repeat a specified number of times until it's re-triggered. So if we turn this up and then put it on random, so it's basically allowing the pattern to keep repeating until we re-trigger it. Then we have re-trigger next to it. So here we have this re-trigger section, and then under that we have note and beat, or we have off. So note, basically the re-trigger occurs when new notes are triggered, and beat, this occurs at specific song times. So we can tell it to occur at certain times. So it's taking this pattern and it's re-triggering it every quarter note. And then we have transpose up here, and by default it's at shift, but basically it just defines which type of scales the arpeggiator will play. So we can have it play a minor scale, seems we're in C minor. And you choose the key underneath it, so we've got C minor, and that's what it will play for us. By shift, it just if you have it on shift, it just plays the notes that are there in whatever pattern is defined by the style. So let's just go up and then play it in minor. So we get something like that, and then we have key underneath it, as I just mentioned. It defines which key scale it is. And then underneath that we have steps, and steps defines how many times the sequence is transposed before it starts at its original pitch again. So if we have it at 2, it'll transpose by 2 octaves and then start again at the original octave. Let's just turn this off. So let's just have it on 1. So it's transposed once before it goes back to its original octave. We then have distance, and this sets the minimum or maximum note measurements that the sequence will reach. So if we have this at 7, it won't go any higher than that, and we can also go negative values. Or we can go really high or low with it. And we get something like that. So I'm just going to leave that at, I don't know, 7 or something. And we then have this velocity section, and this controls the dynamics of the sequence, and we can turn this on and off. And to have this effect operator, we have to set up operator to be affected by velocity. So let's just tell it to affect its volume, and then turn the percentage to 100%. And then we have this decay control, and this defines the amount of time it will take to reach this target velocity. And the target velocity is the final velocity that's reached after the decay stage. And we also have a retrigger control, and when this is switched on, it'll retrigger the velocity slope every time the sequence is retriggered. So if we just turn retrigger on, and then we set up decay to take, let's say, roughly 1 second to reach a target velocity of 0, means every second it will reach silence, like so. And then if we keep retriggering this pattern, so let's just drag these MIDI notes back. So we can get something like that, and we can have the target velocity higher if we want. And we can have it decay faster. And we get something like that happening. So anyway, that's how Arpeggiator works. That's what all the parameters do. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email at mrbill@mrbillstunes.com. Cheers.